So the first thing we need to do is swap the head, which just pops off, and stick on the helmet. The other thing we need to swap are the hands to make sure he's got the joystick hands. So to prep the leg gear, we simply pop out the front, like so. So to prep the chest unit, the first thing we need to do is pop off the crotch joint. Now on the back of the shoulder you can see this little black bar running into the unit. It won't bend forward and back much while it's in, but the first thing we need to do is actually pull it out all the way. And as you can see, there's a little joint so you can see when it's fully extended, and that'll allow it to move forward and back. In addition, the shoulder needs to be moved across as well. I tend to just use my nail on the metal joint and just push it across like so. So once you have the shoulder fully pulled out, it's just a matter of turning it around to the back and doing the same thing again on the other side. And again move it around to the back. We now have to detach the shoulder straps from the front of the chest. So this is straightforward. They're just tabbed in place. So I need to just give it a little pull and like so. Same thing again the other side. Pull it back slightly like so and then pull up. The left side of the chest plate here is tabbed into the right side. So what you need to do is push the left side back slightly and push the right side down. And as you do that, you can see it tab apart. Once tabbed apart, you just push it to the back. Now with Alto in position, you can see the 3 pegs here match up with the 3 ports on his back. And you just align everything together. And it all just pushes into place. So we now take each shoulder strap and just push it over into position. We now need to take the chest part and push that back too, on each side, like so. So with the straps now ready at the front, you want to take and make sure the backpack is completely flush with Alto's back. So you want to make sure it's fully pressed in, because if it isn't fully pressed in, it'll be very difficult to attach the front unit. As the space wasted back here, you won't be able to attach the parts at the front. So if you line these up just so they tab into each other, and if you push one forward and one back, everything will kind of just magically attach together. Like so. Now before you fully push everything flush, make sure you've got the shoulder strap mostly in position. Like so. And then same thing the other side if you have to, otherwise it might have tabbed in correctly first time. The shoulder straps can be quite fiddly. So for the shoulders we now swing out the shoulder bar again. Like so. Now this little tab here goes in just at the top in there to hold it all in securely. So once you have it all pushed in, you rotate it back and then you rotate it forward. And that'll put it into position. So that's in this nice and solid. Same thing again on the other side. Bring it around forward. Push it back slightly. Push it all into position. Rotate it back. Rotate it forward and you'll hear it kind of click into position. So the shoulders should all be back in the position that they started in. So we now need to reattach the crotch unit. Just goes underneath and push it in. You'll hear it snap. Then have the 2 side skirts, left and right. Now you kind of slip them in behind the armour to make it look like it's all attached. So here we have the left forearm. It's easier just to attach the hand you want to use first, like so. And then to transform it, you pull down and pull up at the same time. Pops out. And you've got your joystick hand there. Now there are left and right arms, and as you can see here in the back, it's very difficult to make out, but it says R2 just there. The other way of telling is the joystick handle has grooves on one side and is smooth the other. So the smooth side always faces outwards and the fingers go around the groove side. So with the forearm ready, the easiest thing to do is just attach the hand and then just attach it separately. Like so. So with the hand now aligned, we just want to attach it back to the forearm. Push the forearm in, line up the hand, snap it into position, like so. So with that all now attached, we just fold the arm over. And there we go, it all just snaps together. We now need to attach the heads-up display unit onto the backpack on a simple ball joint. Then finally all we need to do is peg the wings into the backpack. Like so. Finally we just need to set up the gun. Like so. So to take them to the cockpit mode, now I'm going to be doing it slightly different than the manual says, as I find this way is better for aligning all the parts. Move the hood to the back. So I like to push the backpack down, pull out the wings, folding them up slightly, and this keeps them out of the way. So pop the shoulder pads off and pull them out and back. So pushing up and back, pop the shoulder pad off. Sometimes you lose your little shoulder pad. Not to worry, just pop it back on. You need to make sure the shoulder pad's fully back, including this little part. So to move it into its final position, spin it around and turn it in and just pop it over the black part. And then just align it up. Same thing again from the other side. And that's the shoulder pads in position. So pulling out on the right side and pushing in on the left, but at the same time not putting enough force on it to break it while still pulling it apart. Also pop off the other part of the chest like so and push it out to the side. Lift the arms up and they can fold them back, and the shoulder straps can be moved up, and it looks a little something like this. So this is how the shoulder pad looks when on the chest. We now need to spin it 180 so it's upside down, which has the red pointing up and the emblem just in the center. Now we want to push it up and underneath the shoulder pad, so if you pull the shoulder pad out ever so slightly and angle it backwards, this will go up and in and under, and then you can move this back around, and then just with a little bit of a lining, like so, you'll see it all pretty much just fits together snugly, and it's hidden. On the other side, you need to spin it around 180 again, red part pointing up, and then everything should just push up and under, so you want to keep the red part pointing up and underneath the shoulder pad. And then just give it a little twiddle if you feel it needs to be aligned better. And that's everything hidden away. So to sort out the leg armour, pop off the crotch unit as it's going to fall off anyway. Pull forward on the front of the leg, we'll just pop it out, and then just lift and pull the leg out. It's fairly straightforward. It's easier to pop them off than put them on. Like so. I also swapped the side skirts around, so the right one will be swapped over to the left, so just pop them off, and obviously put the left one on the right. So we take the short arm from the display stand and just tab it into his back, like so, making sure it's fully flush. So with the crotch guard back on, now we've got the fiddly part. We need to basically get his legs up and straight across, then angle them out slightly, so twist it around like so. So when you bend the foot down, they're at an angle, but you want to bend it at the bottom joint, not the top joint. So you bend it there, like so. Same thing again on the other side. Bend it up, lift it out slightly if you have to. Bend it up all the way, push it back in as far as it'll go. Twist the leg around so it's angled slightly outwards. Then from the side, bend it at the front joint, which can be again a bit tricky. So he looks a little something like this. Now, I find you actually have to hold him from the crotch joint and his back, because if you don't, that little laddie keep popping off. Legs in position. We now put the left side guard onto the right side. Just tabs in. So line it up with the side of his leg, so it points down to his knee. So as you can see, it actually aligns quite well. You'll see it just slides into position. Now, this is where it gets a bit complicated and parts start rubbing. You actually have to force it into the leg. It'll actually hold it in position, but it's forced in there, good and solid, like so. So as you can see, it's forced in, and just to show you it's forced in, it's held in place. So you can actually see it's held in there by friction. Now it looks nice and works well, but you do this too often and you'll wear out everything here. The leg will start scratching on the inside, and it's kind of one of the problems with the model. Now taking the right side skirt and putting it onto the left side, we just tab it into position on the little ball joint like so. Again, line it up with the leg to make sure everything's pointing towards the knee. Make sure everything's aligned correctly. So pushing it down into the leg, holding that part into position, just push it all down, make sure it stays on the ball joint. Just aligning everything correctly, pushing the leg back a tiny bit. This is what I mean by it's a bit fiddly. Again, you'll see all held in place by friction. The next step is to try and make all of this sit on the display stand without popping off. So starting with the feet at the front, pushing them down into position, taking it around, then making sure everything's aligned correctly at the front. This is where everything gets a little fiddly. because there's so many different points of articulation, nothing is clipping into position, so you just have to move everything around with your hands till it looks roughly about right, because if it isn't, parts will start popping. And now, holding the crotch joint and the back together, pulling it all back and into the position like so. There's a lot of friction and force going on there, and that's it held in place. If you don't hold it right, it's popcorn time. So the goal of the side skirts is to make this look like it's one long unit connected to the back plate. Some people, instead of using friction force to push in here, just have this hanging straight down, which is another option. If you don't want to force it into the leg and swap them over, you can just leave this lying by the side, but it breaks the illusion of it all being one unit. The next step is to align the angles of the wings. So using these two silver parts as a guide, I try to align everything so it's about 45 degrees. So this part of the wing is a lever, and when we wrap everything around, you'll see it wants to move in two joints. It hooks around and hides everything like so. So what you want to do is you want to make sure this joint here will allow the wing to swing around and not hit the back kibble. So it looks a little something like this. Make sure everything's in position here. You can't see it, but the angle here is it should just come around slightly. Now you want to make sure it doesn't move, and it just wraps around like so. So that part of the wing ends up between that gap there, which points it back towards the side skirt and creates a cockpit panel. So it should look a little something like that. Make sure it's in position, pop it out, and then it should look a little something like this. Same thing again on the other side. Make sure it's pointing straight down. Lift it up, push it on top, fold it out slightly, and it should just slip in there. Again, creating another little panel effect to make it look like a cockpit. Again, some people may like this, some people may not. It depends on how you want to align everything, because this is just parts galore and you put them where you want them and where you're happy to have them. So the arms now get transformed into the side of the cockpit and revealing the joysticks. So we now need to snap these apart like so. What you'll actually see is I don't use the hand attachment, as it just rubs in here, and it's only a matter of time before it would wear off all the paint. So you don't actually need to have the hand attached to have it held onto the side of the arm. Same thing again on the other side. Just pop the arm apart like so. Again, no hand. So with the arm ready and the hand back on, you want to snap this back onto Alto's arm like so. That attached, we take this and put it into the open hand and just align everything back onto the side panel. Now, just needs a little bit of... Now the next step is just move the arm around till you're happy with its final position. So I do the same thing again on the other side. So here we have it finally transformed into cockpit mode. Again, this is my interpretation of the cockpit mode and isn't necessarily accurate to the way the manual depicts it.